I think that's a lot of big choices that most students today face is, that
Mhm.
more startup versus the more traditional quote unquote safe route, which isn't, I don't think always as safe as people think it is. But, just on your experiences, how do you look at that today? And do you think, especially from your perspectives as in venture capital today, that startups actually offer some pretty unique opportunities for students in their first jobs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really interesting that because I then like I've worked in an early stage startup and on the tech side as an operator. So I've been like in the early stage scene my whole career, I would say, including at Unusual. And Rachel has been sort of the opposite until becoming an investor. So I think it is, I think it's a little bit of personality fit. Working in an early stage organization or company is just like a really different day-to-day experience. There's a lot less structure. There's a lot less process. I think the idea for a first job in so many ways is less about the job itself and more about learning. And I think we both learned a ton. It was very different things, but you know, for where we were in our lives and what we were looking to accomplish, like I wanted that structure. I thought that, I needed to like go cut my teeth in the business world to prove that I could do it. And I did. And that to me, like for my parents was important, for me personally was important. And I wouldn't give that experience back for anything. But do I think it was absolutely necessary to get me to where I am today? No. I think it was a really helpful stepping stone. And for me, at least, it was a little bit of a way to explore further what it is that I actually like wanted to be when I grew up.
I think one of your colleagues at Andreessen actually tweeted about how they look for slope in a hire as opposed to looking at, in a sense, knowledge. And so I was thinking, maybe do you think that same idea or principle could apply to a student looking for their first job in terms of looking for how your slope will engage in your first job as opposed to prestige or brand or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I think the number one most important thing in your first job is who you're going to work with and learn from. And like, whether that's, Rachel's opportunity at McKinsey to learn from a lot of different people who were in different fields and really like create that breadth, or mine, which was to be at an early stage organization where I was learning working closely with the founder, which is obviously a super different like teacher equivalent, but nevertheless, like big learning. I think, a company can be doing literally anything and you can learn a lot. But I think that prestige should not be someone's number one priority coming out of school if you have the opportunity for it to not be.
How do you kind of, as that introvert, how do you kind of take those challenges on? Because again, no matter what, everyone probably faces that imposter syndrome, but I would suspect introverts especially have a little bit higher of a hurdle to clear from that.
I still don't have it all figured out. Like I'll still walk into someone's office and ask a silly question. And that's like part of being an adult and part of working. If we all had it figured out all the time, then like work would be very boring. And so, I think there's pieces of that is just realizing that asking questions is okay. You will actually probably be more successful if you ask more questions earlier. And raising your hand and saying like, hey, I don't understand this, or I need help. In many ways, like that can project a confidence, than trying to figure it out and, driving yourself crazy if you don't fully grasp a situation.
I was very curious to your thoughts about student entrepreneurship. And then, again, how do you see that really changing, or even the world of work changing kind of in the next few years for students as they enter the work world?
I think for us, what we look for, regardless of age, work experience, is what we call founder market fit. Like, does this founder have unique license to build something in this sector? And that can come in so many different fashions. Maybe a personal experience they had, maybe where or how they grew up, maybe what they experienced at school. Maybe it's just the fact that they're 20 years old and really understand what other 20-year-olds love to do. Or maybe they've spent, 15 years in biotech research and have discovered a new molecule. Like, I don't know, whatever it is, like you want somebody who is uniquely positioned to start that company, not just uniquely positioned to start a company. And so I think just like any job, it's finding like, what are you really passionate about? What are you really good at? And how do you apply that to starting something new?
I think being a student founder is an awesome way to spend your time. I think if you have an idea and you want to work on it, get after it. Like you said, you'll never have that amount of like flexibility on your calendar again. Like I get you have classes and like, that's of course important because go for your 4.0, live your truth. But like your life is like relatively low key. If you look at the scope of like, once you have to work 40-hour work week, you have a lot less free time. So all that to say, I think students should go for it. If you've ever thought about starting a company, like do it. If you have an idea, and I think Rachel's founder market fit is like exactly right. Like, what do you know about? What kinds of stuff do you interact with? What kinds of products do you wish existed? What kinds of things do you and your friends struggle with?